Hello and welcome. This is Bree Stedman, host of Own Your BS, the podcast, where your negative head talk and the bullshit stories you tell yourself become irrelevant, and solution focus creates a path of emotional confidence, clarity, and control. Hello and welcome to episode number 10 of Own Your BS, the podcast. Today, I want to explore perfectionism. Because in the last 24 hours, I've had 2 conversations with some of my private clients about this very thing. Both aspects of perfectionism were presented in very different ways. One was very much a professional ideal of presenting the perfect project, of having all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed before submitting blogs and vlogs and videos to her target market. For the other client, it was more personal than that. It was about being more than she was able to be to live up to the expectations she felt others had of her. Now, perfectionism is something that I know many women struggle with, and it generally comes down to being or feeling less than what you think you should be doing, or being, or behaving, or saying. And I know for myself, this was something that I really struggled with. What I don't talk about a lot is my journey to becoming a female head talk expert. And it started back in 2005 when I joined a multi-level marketing company. This company was a cosmetic company, and I absolutely loved being a part of this particular company. I loved the products. I loved how it empowered women to set goals and to create change within their lives. But something that I reflect back on now is my need to become the perfect role model in that world. And I remember with distinction being told that as a leader in the company, we needed to leave our personal issues in private so that we could be the role model that our girls looked up to. And this was not done with the intention to cause insecurity. And what I know now, because of the years of experience I've had with negative self-talk and the years of experience that I've had exploring how to help women to get out of negative self-talk, is that the role that I took on at the time was grooming me to be perfect, to be putting on a persona of perfection even when I didn't feel like it. We've all heard the term fake it till you make it. I lived and breathed that term. And I encouraged my girls to do the exact same. And so if any of you are listening to this, babe, I totally apologize for ever preaching fake it till you make it. Because what I know now is that's bullshit. Women as a whole have to let go of the need to be more than what we truly are. Because whoever you are right now is exactly who you need to be right now. How you are behaving right now is exactly how you are able to behave based on what you know and have accumulated in your current life circumstance. And that project that you're working on is exactly what it needs to be for right now. Could it improve? Probably, yeah. But right now, it's a brilliant first version. And versions can always be improved. They can be edited. They can be added to. Just have a look at any of the best-selling books. Quite often, we're not reading version number 1 if a book has been released some time ago. They've taken it back and they've edited and they've re-released it as version number 2. So I give you permission to do that in your life because that is what life is about. It's about giving the best of yourself for right now. Knowing what you know. Having the life experience that you have, believing what you believe about your life for right now is more than enough for you to make the decisions that you feel are the best for you right now. So during these 2 conversations with my clients, a couple of things came to mind that I wanted to share with you. Firstly, a lot of perfectionism, starts because of the need to be like someone else, to have what someone else has, whether it's the results, whether it's the program, whether it's the life that you see someone else have, Our need to be perfect comes from a comparison that we have made of ourselves to someone else. And unfortunately, comparison is one of those human natural habits that generally leaves us feeling less than. And so, what I encourage you today is to recognize that the imperfect you see in yourself is the perfect version of what someone outside of you needs. The imperfect that you see in you is what someone outside of you considers perfect. That message, that program, that person that you want to be right now is exactly what someone outside of you is looking for. The problem is, whenever perfectionism gets in the way, we don't allow that imperfect self to come forward because we don't consider it to be what it needs to be. And what's that ultimately doing? It's robbing someone else from the ability to see what you have to offer. The other thing that came to from a conversation that I had with my second client, that was just this morning, was that when we are able to let go of all of the personas, all of the masks that we feel define us to be perfect, we give ourselves permission to become authentic. And when we step into that authentic self, there is no need to try and be perfect because you recognize that you already are perfect. Now, when I look back on my journey, particularly in the multi-level marketing company that I was a part of, that I was quite successful in, when I look back on my growth journey, I can see that I established a level of success trying to be perfect, trying to put on the mask that I felt was expected of me at that time. And I want to make this clear as well. This expectation was my own perception. It was never an expectation that someone actually said, this is how you have to behave. This is who you have to be. It was the perception that I created when I looked around the company and saw the other successful people. I thought, well, in order for me to be successful, I must be like them. And so I started to mirror them. And every time I did that, I robbed myself a little bit by a little bit away from who I really was. Now, thanks to my own personal development journey, I got to a point where I recognized I could no longer live behind the masks of this perfect persona that I had created. And the funniest of things happened. The moment that I released all of those masks, the moment that I addressed my own bullshit, that I addressed my own insecurities, that I was never going to be enough, that I was not good enough, that I was not worthy or valuable enough as my own authentic self. The moment that I recognized and addressed those issues was the moment that I allowed myself to be the authentic Bree that I desired to be. Professionally, what happened? I built even more success. I enjoyed the last few years of my experience with that multi-level marketing company. I can honestly say were the best years of my entire career because I let go of all of the personas. I let go of all of the masks. I let go of the need to be perfect, and I started to be myself. I started to show my vulnerabilities. I let my girls into my life and my struggles because by being my authentic self, I actually gave hope that even when life is crazy and chaotic, success can be built. But it comes back to being okay with that crazy chaos of life. It comes back to not making excuses, but just embracing who you are genuinely and authentically for that person. I enjoyed the most amount of my success in those few years when I became my true self. And then it got to a point where I needed to grow again. And so I left that role behind me and became a female head talk expert. And now, the one thing that I aim to do every single day is not to be perfect, but is to show up as me. So how do you do that? How do you start to break away from the need to be perfect and step into that authentic, amazing self that you already are? Well, firstly, Ask yourself this: if I knew that I had 100% support to be who I wanted to be and to do what I wanted to do, what would I choose? If I knew that there was no judgment, that there would be no criticism, that there would be nothing but support and encouragement, what would I choose? What would I want to do? Who would I want to be? And then I challenge you to do that thing, to be that person. Now, does it mean that everybody is going to support you? No. You're going to get your haters. But let's be real. Who you're presenting yourself as right now is already being judged. The only difference is you're also judging yourself because you know you're not being your true self. So if we're going to be judged, why not be ourselves? Because the greatest thing happens. We attract real, like-minded people. We attract true support, true encouragement. The people that really matter love you regardless of the bullshit facade that you are presenting. And they want you to be you. So, be that person. Be that person that you deeply desire and start small. Build your confidence up by gradually allowing and creating opportunities for success. And watch what happens to your confidence the more you let go of those bullshit facades and the more you embrace, the more you say, the more you do, the more you behave in the way that is most congruent with who you are, the more confidence you're going to start to see come through. Because without the mask, without the persona, you start to grow. It's almost like the little image that's coming into my head right now is like trying to sculpture a plant. We try and keep it so confined and we try and keep it so neat and perfect. But the minute that we let go of that need to have this perfect plant, plants often flourish and they bloom in ways that we couldn't have even anticipated because we were trying to control the image. Let go of that and watch the wonder that comes through from that. Now, of course, I know that you are on a journey of owning your BS, that you are struggling with negative head talk. So this ability to step forward into the world as your authentic self is going to be a challenge. So what I encourage you to do while you're doing this is to be mindful of all of that negative shit that comes up for you. Every time you be your authentic self and you feel or you hear yourself saying something that is negative, get it down onto a piece of paper and then start working through it. Because the only way that you can release those charges is by acknowledging them, is by owning them and choosing to do something with them. And that is why I'm so passionate with Own Your BS. Because I know the more you own your shit, the more successful you're going to be in all areas of your life. Personally, with your relationships, and professionally, with however that success looks like to you. And so if you want more help on how to own that shit that comes up, to own that shit that is stopping you from being your authentic self, then please check out my online course, Own Your BS. This is a 6-week lifetime access program that you can utilize every single time you feel yourself getting pulled back into the rabbit hole of negative thinking. It's a gift that you give your future self because that future self is wanting you to be your authentic, genuine, and honest self. And the more you do that, I can promise you, the more confident, the more empowered, and the more worthy you are going to feel of everything that you deserve in your life. Thank you so much for joining me again for episode 10 of Own Your BS, the podcast. Go forward this week being your authentic self and recognize that with every negative talk, negative thought that you have the choice to take back emotional control, confidence, and clarity. I'll talk to you next week.